All right, we're going to get started here. As permitted by the Governor's Disaster Declaration of January 8th, 2021, the determination has been made that an in-person meeting is not practical or prudent for this committee. To ensure a transparent and open meeting as possible, we posted the meeting materials in advance of the meeting and will provide a recording of this meeting linked on our website, and we'll take all votes by roll call. So with that, I would like to call the meeting of the CMAQ Project Selection Committee to order. Just as a reminder, please use your mute function so that we can reduce the amount of background noise when people are speaking. With that, Elliot, do you want to take a roll call?
Sure. Please state if you're here, and if you're filling in for someone, please make that known too, please. Darwin Burkhart.
Here.
Doug Ferguson.
Here.
Mark Pitstick.
Here.
Mayor Shelkey.
We can see him.
Mayor, okay. Chris Schmidt.
Here.
Chris Snyder. Jeff Shriver.
Here.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Elliot. There are no agenda changes or announcements today. So we're going to move on to approval of the minutes from April 1st, 2021. Do I have a motion for approval of the minutes?
So moved. Shelkey.
Thank you, Mayor.
Seconded by Pitstick.
Thanks, Mark. All right. Were there any changes or questions about the minutes as presented? All right. Hearing none. Elliot, you want to do a roll call for the vote on the minutes?
Darwin Burkhart.
Aye.
Doug Ferguson.
Aye.
Mark Pitstick.
Aye.
Mayor Shelkey.
Yes.
Chris Schmidt.
Aye.
Chris Snyder. Jeff
Aye.
Shriver.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Minutes are approved. Moving along, program monitoring. Included in the materials for today's meeting were status sheets of the active projects for both the CMAQ and TAP programs, along with an obligation goal for the program, for the CMAQ program and their status. I would note that, as you can see, our obligations are way down this year due to corrections from past obligations and funds being de-obligated. We're currently negative on the year. We hope with summer fast approaching that we will start seeing an increase in obligations and we can get into the positive for the year. Are there any questions from the committee members on the status sheets? Yeah, Mark.
Yeah, Doug, I have a comment. It's Mark Pitstick. This is, I mean, the obligations is frustrating. I mean, hopefully, I don't know if that's possible. We're well into the year. To be negative at this point is a little bit disappointing. But my comment is really about the deferred program. You know, we have a lot of things on there that are really old, and maybe we need to do some house cleaning and get rid of some of those. You know, I'd be looking for a staff recommendation that's a future meeting to process to do that. Maybe we could look at, you know, projects that are more than a certain number of years old, like 5 or 10 or 15, and eliminate those. And if they're, you know, more than 5 or 10 and they haven't had any activity, then we'll, you know, are we going to carry those things forever?
No, you bring up a good point, and it definitely, there needs to be some cleanup. I will add, and Chris Schmidt might be able to add something. There is a large project on there, the Indiana Harbor Belts project, which I believe that they are making the decision not to move forward with that. So that would be, I believe, close to 50 million or 30 million that would like come off the deferred list. I don't know, Chris, you wanted to add something on that one, but I think your point's well taken, Mark, that staff needs to come up with a process for potentially removing some of the older projects that are definitely probably dead in the water.
Yeah, that's what I'd like. I'm not trying to punish anybody in this. Is more of a, some of these projects are just, they're not going anywhere. So we need to figure out what those are and get them off the list, because the numbers just become wacky, you know, when we have 100 million or whatever. I don't have the screen in front of me now, but of deferred projects, you know, we've got several 100 million, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to open that up.
Yeah. Let's see the programming status sheet. That's
yeah, roughly about 189
180.
or
180 million.
Yep.
190. Yeah. So
agreed. I mean, it does look. There needs to be some cleanup work done on that, and staff will look into that.
okay. And I think it's going to be, you know, staff will come up with a proposal, but we're going to have to take action if we're going to pull these off. And yeah, nobody wants to lose a project, but if the projects are dead, maybe we give.
Well,
you know.
And this is just off the top of my head. It might be easier to just contact everybody and find out, like, are they active? Are they serious about continuing with the project or not? And if they're not, maybe people will voluntarily withdraw, and then we don't need to do much in the way of activity. But
that's fine. But I think some of them have been telling you for a decade that they're still interested, and they haven't done anything. So
yeah,
that's my suspicion. I know of one. I won't mention it.
All right. Any other questions on the program monitoring sheets? All right. Hearing none, we'll move on to the project changes. Elliot, you want to handle those?
We have 4 project change requests for committee consideration. The first is CDOT's wireless signal interconnects project. It's approved for $1,600,000 CMAQ for phase 2 engineering and $28,757,000 CMAQ for construction, both of which are currently deferred. Sponsors requesting a reinstatement of $1,600,000 CMAQ for phase 2 engineering in 2021. CDOT has gone through the or has solicited qualified proposals for engineering services and are reviewing them now, targeting authorization for July 2021. Staff recommends the approval of the requested reinstatement of $1,600,000 CMAQ for phase 2 engineering in 2021 for CDOT's wireless signal interconnects project. The second project is Skokie's Oakton Street multi-use path. The project is approved for $1,760,000 CMAQ for construction engineering in 2021. The sponsor is requesting a cost increase of $1,271,200 CMAQ for construction engineering in 2021 to account for higher than expected costs after consulting with Metra. Staff recommends the approval of the requested cost increase of $1,271,200 CMAQ for construction engineering in 2021 for Skokie's Oakton Street multi-use path project. The third project is Mount Prospect's Gulf Road Alternative 3 regional bike route. This project is approved for $8,000 CMAQ for phase 1 engineering, $12,000 CMAQ for phase 2 engineering, and $272,000 CMAQ for construction, all of which are deferred. The sponsor is requesting a scope change, reinstatement, and transfer of $8,000 CMAQ from phase 1 engineering to phase 2 engineering in 2022. The original project was put on pause while IDOT performed a safety investigation of the intersection, and now they are requesting the village to participate in a new project with IDOT. And participating items include roadway lighting, traffic signal upgrades, emergency vehicle preemption replacement, and engineering. The original bike path and the route signage portions of the project will be completed by the village as a separate project. After preliminary consultation with FHWA, the remaining participating items requested by the village would likely not receive authorization through the CMAQ program. Therefore, staff recommends denial of the requested scope change, reinstatement, and transfer of $8,000 CMAQ from Phase 1 engineering to Phase 2 engineering in 2022. The last change request is IDOT D1's Illinois Route 19 Irving Park Road at Barrington Road project. Project is approved for $1,625,000 CMAQ for construction in 2021. An additional $552,000 CMAQ for right-of-way in 2021 has already been obligated. The sponsor is requesting a cost increase of $596,000 CMAQ for construction in 2021 due to higher final engineering estimates. Staff recommends the approval of the requested cost increase of $596,000 CMAQ for construction in 2021 for IDOT D1's Illinois Route 19 Irving Park Road at Barrington Road project.
All right, thanks, Elliot. So with the changes as presented with the staff recommendations, staff is asking for approval of the staff recommendations. Do I have a motion?
I move. Stick.
Thank you.
Chris
Do I have
Schmidt
a
from
second?
IDOT for a second.
Thanks, Chris. Just to start off with the Mount Prospect project, I just wanted to say that the staff recommendation is for not approving the scope change. This was after consulting with FHWA. The items that IDOT would like Mount Prospect to participate on are not CMAQ eligible as standalone. So even if we approve the scope change, they would not receive authorization from FHWA for the CMAQ funds for those elements. So we still like the project. It's still good. It's just what was being asked to be used for the CMAQ funds are not eligible as standalone CMAQ projects. So with that, are there any other questions? Yes, Mark.
Yeah, I have a couple comments. First, I don't have any objections to the staff recommendations. I just have two comments. One on the CDOT wireless signal interconnects. I'm glad to see that one get reinstated and get moving, at least into the engineering phase. So that's good. On the Skokie project, the path, it's a rather large percentage increase on that project. So maybe we could use that to help us talk through the next item on our agenda, process changes, see how that would fit, just to help me understand how that's going to work. But my comment is, I dug into that a little bit just to understand it better, and I see that, this is really the cost increase is really something out of City of Skokie's or Village of Skokie's control. It's really more of a work by others or force account work by Metra. So I understand that, and I'm not objecting to it. I'm just trying to understand that a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely use that as an example for item 6. Any other questions? Oh, yes.
Yeah, Doug, Chris Snyder. Just curious, back to the Mount Prospect project. So they're abandoning the bike path project from a CMAQ standpoint. I'm just curious.
They're not entirely abandoning it. So the crossing itself of the railroad tracks will be handled as part of the IDOT safety project there. The improvements to the intersection, as well as the path at the intersection of Prospect Avenue and Mount Prospect. The other portion of it was a network through the neighborhood in that area. The village is moving on their own to complete that. The reason being, if they route it as a bike route with signage, they would have to remove some of the parking from in there, and they don't want to do that. So if they do it with their own money, because they're local streets, they can proceed. But because if they use federal funds, they have to do it to the IDOT standards.
So for the work at the railroad crossing that's being done as part of the IDOT project, IDOT's not requiring the municipality to fund that?
No, they are the items that they ask for participation from the village are items that CMAQ cannot cover. The lighting, what is essentially maintenance of the existing signals, and what's the third one, Elliot? The EVP.
The EVP.
Because I'm a local agency, I'm always trying to see if there's a way to beat the system. I mean, theoretically, and I know Chris Schmidt's on this, couldn't, at the end of the day, the village owes the state, they're asking for participation for 3 items, let's say it's 100,000. Couldn't CMAQ funds be used for the bike trail instead, and IDOT absorb those costs at the end of the day? IDOT is not spending anymore, and the village gets to minimize their cost.
Well, they have to be careful because they are using HSIP funds.
Oh.
So, yeah, it's the commingling of federal funds.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't the outcome that we were hoping for, but I mean, we have to play within the rules. And all right, if there are no other comments or questions on the changes as proposed, there's a motion on the table for the approval of the staff recommendation. Elliot, do you want to do the roll call?
Darwin Burkhart.
Yeah, Doug, thanks for the clarification. I'll vote aye.
Doug Ferguson.
Aye.
Mark Pitstick.
Aye.
Mayor Schelke.
Yes.
Chris Schmidt.
Aye.
Chris Snyder.
Aye.
Jeff Schreiber.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. So the project changes have been approved. Moving on to the next item, the project change request approval procedures. So at the last meeting, staff presented some analysis of some of the cost change requests that have been received over the last few years. We made some recommendations. We heard that the $1 million cap of for cost change under an administrative thing was on the higher side, and some committee members felt that maybe it was too high. And we also heard that there's probably a need to have some sort of review process built in. So staff is making a recommendation based upon those comments for an administrative modifications for cost changes using the same thresholds with a $500,000 cap. So we dropped the $1 million down to $500,000, and adding in that we would agree to track the administrative changes over the next year and bring back the results of those to the committee. That being said, staff is not intending to do these changes without committee oversight. Anytime an administrative change is made or cost change is made, we would put it on the agenda with details. Sponsors would still be required to fill out the same paperwork, so we would still be tracking why the change is being made, where the funds are, like what's the breakdown of the funding, and that would all be updated at the following project selection committee meeting. So with that, I would like to open it up. I know, Mark, you had raised with the case of the Skokie-Oakton Street project, where that one would fall. Obviously, with a cap of 500,000 and that being an increase of over $1 million, that would be a cost change request that would need to come to the committee.
Yeah, let me follow up on that. First of all, I'm generally comfortable with this, the overall proposal. I'm just trying to understand the table in the memo. So I understand that one would the Skokie project would exceed the 500,000 threshold, or even the $1 million threshold that we talked about last time. But on the table, I don't know if you can pull that up, if you have the slide there, or if you want me to pull that up, but I'm just trying to understand how the table is used. There's a column of percent change. It's the first column. The second change is the federal project cost before the change. So do you want me to pull that up, Doug?
Yeah, I'm trying to get it pulled up, so just give me one second.
All right. Let me keep talking then while you pull that up. So Mike, I just want to make sure I'm using this table right. I would start on the right side of the table and say, okay, this project has a federal cost of 1.7 million before the change, so that puts it in the middle. And then you look at the 50% and say, okay, the cost change is more than 50%, and therefore it would need approval by the committee. Is that the way that table works? Or am I doing it backwards?
I'm sorry, say that one more time, just so I make sure that I'm not answering something.
This project that we're talking about, the Skokie project, is 1.7 million federal cost. So I would put that, look on the right column and say that's between 1 million and 5 million. So that has a threshold of 50%. So they're asking for more than 50% increase. So that would exceed the threshold for administrative modifications. Is that the way that table works?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so it's sort of listed backwards. I guess the percent change, I would put the project cost on the left and the percent change on the right. I don't know if that's the way you use it, or.
Yeah, we can do, I mean, we can show it that way. That's
okay.
Yeah.
All right. I know you lifted this from something else, but.
Right. I mean, so in that million to just under 5 million area, I mean, with the cap of 500,000, yeah, they could reach the 50% threshold, but if it's at $1 million.
Right.
If it goes over that, it could drop to as low as 10%. But
okay. All right, I'm comfortable with this.
Do any of the other committee members? Yes, Chris.
I was just going to say, now that we've gone from 1 million to 500,000, which the counties do support and agree with, do these percents even come into play other than the very first one of 0 to 999? Because I mean, the 1 million, 50% of $1 million is 500,000. So right there, if you request $1, no, it's 50%. 50% change in, so I guess I'm confused.
No,
you're right.
$1 million project, if you request a $100,000 increase, that's below the 500.
And it's
I guess
within the 50%, yeah.
Yeah, I guess I don't know that these percents will ever come into play.
They do like to, I mean, with the if it's $1 million, they can get up to 500,000 and still be within that threshold. It's the upper ones that I mean are really like over 10 million. The most they could get is a 5% change, and in the $5 to $10 million one, the most they could do is 5 to 10% change. These are the thresholds that are coming from the TIP and administrative modifications. So we're kind of just using these as the goal or the kind of the oversight. But yes, you are correct. Most of the time, the percentages will not even come into play.
Okay. And then if you scroll up, so we can see the bottom part of this, where it starts the paragraph staff recommends, where it says, while applying the $500,000 maximum allowable cost change, is that per phase or one and done for the project?
So we're intending it on a per phase basis.
Okay.
But we are adding in there, I should have made note of this, that if a second cost change request for a single phase comes in, so say a sponsor requests an increase for construction based upon engineers' estimates, they go out to bid, the bidding comes in high, and they make a secondary request. We would require, even if the secondary request was within the thresholds and the cap, we would still require it to come to the committee. That way to stop people from just regularly coming in for cost increases and potentially the combination of both cost changes might exceed the thresholds or the cap. So. Are there any other comments or questions? So staff is asking for approval of these. Once we get approval, we will put together a sheet, an updated change request. I can't remember what we call it online. We have under our program and management side of things, there's a listing of what sponsors need to do to make requests or to the committee for either cost changes or scope changes. So we would update that to include this new additional information. Would there be a staff would ask for committee approval? Do I have a motion?
Time out, Doug. Can
Yeah.
I just point out the agenda says this action request is discussion. So I'm not opposed to approving it. Maybe we do need to suspend the rules or something, anything like that, or just everyone comfortable with
That was my error. I thought I had changed that. There's so many different areas that like I have to put that in. So on my slides, I have approval.
Okay. All right. Well, I would like to motion for approval under suspension of the rules, I guess. I don't know.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have to second whatever Mark just said.
Thanks, Chris. All right. So there's a motion. Is there any more discussion that's needed? All right. Hearing none. Elliot, would you do a roll call?
Darwin Burkhart,
Aye.
Doug Ferguson,
Aye.
Mark Pitstick,
Aye.
Mayor Shelkey,
yes,
Chris Schmidt,
Aye.
Chris Snyder,
Aye.
Jeff Stryber.
Great. So it changes for the administrative cost changes. All right. Moving on to item 7, the 2022 to 2026 program development. Just giving you an update here. Staff is still reviewing applications and evaluating them and scoring them. Our intent is to finish up scoring in the next month. We will post the scores and evaluations of all the projects along with the STP shared fund projects on our website. We'll send out a notification to all the committee members so that they're aware that those are being posted. And at that point in time, applicants will be able to see how their project is scoring. We will put together a draft program for the committee's consideration that will go out, I think, late June for the July 1st meeting. So with that, are there any questions on the program development? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to public comment. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to address the committee? If so, please unmute yourself and speak. All right, hearing none, I will move on to the next meeting, which, as I mentioned before, will be Thursday, July 1st, directly following the STP Project Selection Committee meeting. So we'll be at 11 a.m. again. With that, is there any other business that committee members wish to bring before the committee? Mark, I see you raising your hand.
Yeah, this was about, more about future business. This could potentially be something we talk about at the next meeting if there's time. We have been working on a interagency signage program that's CMAQ funded. We are just about done with our original scope on that. We have some funds remaining. So I would like to present what we've accomplished and ask for continuation to do that at some additional locations at the next meeting. I guess that's a scope change. So, you know, maybe you and I can talk offline whether to formally submit that as a scope change or we just want to do it as a informally. So.
Okay. Yeah. We could put that on the agenda and we'll talk about what needs to be done for the scope change.
Okay.
Right. Is there anything else? All right. Well, hearing none, I call for adjournment of the meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.